Welcome back here on FloridaHSFootball.com. Josh Wilson here, joining you as we go through. We're into week 2 of the state championships as we get ready to wrap up the 2022 high school football season into Sunshine State. And it is time to go take our vehicles down to Fort Lauderdale. However you get there, Fort Lauderdale, where 5 big games are scheduled to be at this week. And joining me now is the head coach of the Miami Central Rockets in his first season as the head coach. Been a long-time assistant there with the Rockets, has been part of many of the state championship teams. Coach Jube Joseph, first year, 13-0 coming into this game against Plantation American Heritage. I mean, Coach, what is it like? I knew you were prepared for this job, so I mean, coming to a state championship game for you, this is probably nothing new at this point for you. It's the wash, rinse, and repeat that you know what the drill's like coming into into a state title game.
Right. First off, I'd like to thank you for having me today. Always a pleasure to talk Rocket football. That's the thing with us, man. It's business as usual. Another day at the office here as far as this game. We're working on our 4th straight state championship, possible national championship, and it's just trying to keep the kids level-headed and just going about our day and going to business as usual.
No, and absolutely, with that, looking at this and, and the thought of, playing in your own backyard pretty much, basically for the second straight year, how do you feel about that being able to play potentially, in front of a big crowd, especially the fact that it's Dade versus Broward here in the state title game, unlike last year where the game was, it was Miami Central versus Merritt Island in the 5A title game?
I think our staff and our community, when you put this Rocky brand on, you sign up for games. To this magnitude, our kids have been tried and tested in front of different settings and different crowds, and so they're prepared. This is the reasons why you create schedules like this, to put them in adverse situations and put them in settings where you'll be on the stage. And one thing about our kids, when it's time to put them on the stage and perform, they do so in a telling fashion.
No, absolutely. And Coach, looking at it, the schedule y'all had, it's the typical Miami Central schedule: schedule tough, schedule hard, and I mean, you're the first game of the season, you come out and beat ING Academy, one of the top teams in the nation. So I know that kind of set the tone for y'all. So I mean, for y'all to win that game and to beat ING Academy, which is very, very difficult for a lot of teams to do, I mean, talk about that, coming out and starting that tone right there in that first game. I mean, your first game as a head coach and game 1 of the 2022 season.
I mean, we just look at another challenge. Again, when you sign up to play for Miami Central, you sign up to play against the best week in and week out. And we know we like to test ourselves, always give ourselves a great measuring stick. Our separations and our preparation, and that victory just was an ode to how dedicated our kids were through our summer training and paying attention to details and playing for each other and representing the community in a great fashion.
No, absolutely. Of course, let's talk about what happened here in the playoffs, because I think that's the big part. Is the regional quarterfinal game, not an issue there with that particular game against St. Brendan, but the regional semifinal game against Miami Northwestern, that's where y'all ended up almost getting caught there. And the Bulls gave y'all basically everything. They threw everything in the kitchen sink at y'all, and but y'all managed to escape that game 34-30. What did you tell your guys then, especially in that game, because that it's not just any opponent. That's Miami Northwestern, your biggest rival right there. In that regional semifinal game where everything is on the line.
Again, we always focus here. Miami Central is going 1-0. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, and hats off to Miami Northwest. That just shows you how competitive South Florida football is. Any given week, man, it's any given Friday. Everybody's going to give their best shot when they play Miami Central, and we're prepared for them. And then in that game, it was the same thing. Stay even, kill, focus at the task at hand, do your job, fight through adversity, and play for your brother. And the kids showed that tenacity. And that was just an ode to the scheduling that we had this year. Playing teams like IMG, Christopher Columbus, New Orleans, and the Northwesterns of the world, Booker T's of the world. And the kids are tried and proven.
And absolutely, and of course, right now, looking at this, with this game here, coming up on Friday night against Plantation American Heritage in the Class 2M state championship game. y'all already won 8 state titles there at Miami Central, 8 official state titles. Looking at that, you're going for what would be the second time 4 straight, in program history. Y'all have already done that once in the program. So, looking at this, this particular game itself, just looking at everything, what would it mean for you to get number 9 here for the school? What would it mean to you in your reflection of that? Because I know this is to be able to go over the last decade, over the last decade plus, to be able to go and maybe win 8, win possibly 9 state championships. That's it's unprecedented in terms of the number, the teams doing that like that.
I mean, for me, I'm a Rocket person. I'm a Rocket alum, and a large majority of my staff is, and it'll mean a lot bringing it back to the community. But when you sign up for this job, you sign up to be a servant, a public servant for the community. So it's more so about the kids being able to bring the fourth straight state title back, and just continuing to add on to the legacy and the standard of championship football here at Miami Central.
No, absolutely. And let's talk about here. Let's talk about the guys here, because your guys are, lights out football players. They play really strong football. I mean, you've got multiple Division 1 prospects, but let's talk about the offense first. Let's talk about your quarterback, Keon Jenkins. I mean, he has, over 2,100 yards this season in 13 games, 24 touchdowns. Also can run the ball a little bit, 9 touchdowns on the ground, 278 yards. So I mean, start there, because every great offense starts with quarterback. So, and that's what y'all have there.
Chucky Warren is a wonderful player, man. He's a generational talent. He comes, you know what I'm saying, and just can't say enough about him. What he does on the field, is second to what he does in the locker room. His leadership is second to none. And he just had a terrific year this year, leading us to the state championship.
No, absolutely, and of course, y'all combined with 1,900 yards rushing on the ground, but y'all split that up around quite a few ball carriers. So I mean, talk about that when you're splitting that, with the running attack. It's not just it seems like it's more in a way, kind of running back by committee in a way. It's by looking at the stats here.
Yeah, it's been a system to run for quite some time now. Hats off to my offensive coordinator Alexander Snipes and Coach Michael Ross, and they've been doing a great job with the run with the run game for so many years now. And that's usually the pedigree we hear at Miami Central. We like to think of ourselves as running back high. You know, we have a plethora of backs, and they all get featured, and when they get their opportunity, they make the most of it.
No, absolutely, and of course the reading receivers y'all got is Corey Washington here, and then looking at Lamar Seymour here, your leading receivers. I mean, they are definitely have been doing a lot of the work there in terms of the receiving game. But going to the defense, coach here, taking a look at the defensive side of things here. I mean, hey, let's talk about Ruben Bain. I mean, that's your big star-studded guy here on the defense. I mean, that's just one of them. But I mean, your defense, that's the big reason. Defense wins championships, and sure enough, that's what Miami Central does right there with that. It's the defense a lot of times.
Ruben's a generational talent in itself. I mean, this is his fourth year in high school, and he's going for his fourth state championship. He's been a starter since the ninth grade. He embodies what we look for here at Miami Central, which is high character kids. He's the first one at practice and the last one to leave. Locker room guy. I mean, I think his success on the field is a byproduct of who he is as a person, and his dedication and his work towards his teammates and to his craft. Man, he's been amazing this year.
No, absolutely, and of course you got some other guys, Stanquan Clark here, also another leading tackler as well. I mean, but going back to Bain here, looking at a thing, 28 sacks. I mean, that's just that is you think, and I mentioned Stanquan Clark. He's got 15. So between the two of them, I mean, that's a healthy number of sacks right there. So talk about that part, because I know that for going up against a team like Plantation American Heritage, it's going to be important to be able to get on their quarterback and stop their passing game and their run game, because those are strong key points for them for the Patriots coming into that game.
Those two guys are the leaders of the defense, the defensive captains. It's funny that you say both their names. And to be honest with you, they're probably we got a young group, but they're the leaders of these guys, and they come out every play, and they make sure to get after it. Rubens is actually, I think, 1.5 sacks away from breaking his school record from last year, which was 29.5. So that it's just great to see him step into the light that he's worked so hard to be shining.
No, absolutely. Now let's talk about this game in particular. This is Plantation American Heritage. This is probably the biggest state championship game y'all have played in quite a long time. Especially in terms of the opponent that y'all are going to have here, Coach. I mean, first, what is it about, especially the way they officially did the classifications now that's kind of led to this, to where it's a Dade versus Broward in the state championship game because of the way the reseeding happened in the state semifinals, and now, you got this other team here that's, that's just as talented. I mean, for you, what for y'all to be able to win this state championship on Friday night, what is it going to have to take to beat Plantation American Heritage? What are y'all going to have to do on the field, basically? Because I know that making mistakes is probably not going to be the answer there on that particular thing.
That's the thing about it is, us, myself, is just doing our job. Been our mantra. I mean, if we come out, we show the best versions of ourselves every play, then we'll be able to win. At the end of the day, if we play mistake-free football, if we come out and and just really just dedicate ourselves to our crafts and the details of the game, we'll be successful.
No, absolutely, and of course, at the end of the day, being able to play in your own backyard here, I mean, what is it like, instead of having to, make a trip to, say, like it was 2 years ago to Tallahassee during COVID-19, or to Orlando, it's pretty much right there in your backyard. I mean, what do you expect, especially the fact that it's, again, the crowd base. I mean, do you expect this place to be loud and booming on Friday night, at DRV PNK Stadium?
I think it's gonna be loud and booming up here. South Florida football culture is going to show out. We get a chance to showcase, how we do things down here with two South Florida teams. And just this is going to be a great atmosphere. I think it's great for the culture for high school football, not only for South Florida but the state of Florida. But with these two teams, I mean, it's just going to be a great set, great environment.
No, absolutely. And of course, that environment, that is going to be huge. Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff at DRV PNK Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. This is the biggest matchup. I thought this matchup potentially could happen back in the preseason, and sure enough, here we are. We've got Miami Central versus Plantation American Heritage for all the marbles for a state title in Class 2M. Coach, I appreciate you taking a few minutes of your busy schedule here. I know it's a lot here, getting ready for game week with the state championship on the line, and we appreciate it. And we'll see you Friday night at DRV PNK Stadium in Fort Lauderdale for the Class 2M state title.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
No, you're welcome. Thanks, Coach Joseph. That was head coach Jube Joseph joining us here from Miami Central, and we definitely appreciate him being able to join us here and talk Miami Central Rockets football. Definitely one of the top teams in the nation right now, sitting number one in several national polls, has a chance to win a national championship. But that all is based upon what happens Friday night against Plantation American Heritage. And we appreciate everybody joining us here for this video interview with Jube Joseph, the head coach in his first year of the Miami Central Rockets. We're going to have more videos leading up to the state championships in Fort Lauderdale this week for classes 2M, 3M, 4M, 3S, and 4S right here on FloatHSFootball.com. We appreciate you and thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.